All right, so your baby bear is your laziest, floppiest, laziest little side to side roll. So you could either hang on underneath or backs of your thighs, underneath your knees, or your shins. You could do this grabbing your toes. That's a little more hip flexibility required for that move. But if that doesn't feel good, just grab a hold of your shins. But do just let your legs flop so you don't have to like hold them tight together. You might even flop all the way over onto one side and then all the way over to your other side. Yet today was one of those days where I was like cold. I was in the house most of the day. I went for a walk with my buddy around noon, right before it started raining. But I just felt cold all day. I had to stay pretty bundled up. So notice what you notice as you're doing your little left and right rock. Compare left and right sides. This might be really tiny. Maybe you're just doing a little log roll to your elbow, your other elbow. And we'll do this baby bear a few more times so we can compare. And then what about your little cobra? Yeah, so for this one, you can come onto your tummy. And you got your choice. You can either lift your head and shoulders, roll your shoulders up and down and back, and hang out here for a few breaths. Or you could cruise right along through this one. You could go roll your little marble away, lift up, get longer as you come back down. So whatever feels good. If you want to hold that position or boogie up and down, tiny little back extension. Move my mirror back just a smidgy. Easy does it. Cobra. A couple more of these guys. So Alice, see how this feels? That might feel good to have your back in extension. When my low back was bugging me, this would feel really good. But if it doesn't feel good, then of course come down or come a little lower. It could be just your top part of your back too. And you could kind of leave your low back and legs out of it, if that makes sense. Yeah. Now, how's about this little belly roll? So if this rolling on your belly doesn't feel good today for what, oh, let me let some people in. For whatever reason, you can always go back to baby bear. So baby bear is a good backup plan. Hey, Bridget. Hey, Sonia. Okay, we were just about to do our little belly roll, but I was saying if you don't want to do this belly roll, you can do baby bear. But if this feels good tonight, you can even rest your hands on your forehead, bend your knees, and just let your legs rock really lazily. So my knees are about 90-degree bend, feet facing the ceiling. And make this easy, real easy. Belly rock. Yep. And then you decide if you're like, man, I'm not loving that so much. You can go back to baby bear. If you want to keep playing with this, where we could head eventually is as my left leg goes back, that's my left leg back behind me, I could push off with my left hand and really easy does it slink up to seated. That would be like this. And then I could slink back to the floor. So that is a spine twist. So if that spine twisting doesn't feel good tonight, just ignore that suggestion. If this does feel good, your leg's going to come back like a little scorpion tail. And then you might end up with your knees in this kind of 90-90 position. So I'm letting my whole spine move, letting my neck roll around. And then come on down and rest. However you like. Yeah, you can lay on your back, you can lay on your tummy. Take a couple of big deep breaths. And then we will come back to our backs, please. So this knee sway, let's play with our different variations on our knee sway. Variation 1, we'll do feet together, legs together. So my legs are actually touching. It's going to be a pretty tiny little tight left and right situation with my legs. Left and right. Easy, really tiny, really easy. Yeah, so it's not a super big move. Then you could also do feet about hip distance apart. Same idea, easy, lazy. Leaning over on your right hip, leaning on your left hip. And then you can let your head move, you can let your shoulders move. Yeah. Then option 3 would be maybe even going as wide as the mat. So feet as wide as the mat. This one, you'll have room that you could let your knee come down towards the middle of the mat. So now you're a little more focused on that length in the front of your hip and quad. Yeah, so find which one of those feels like the best variation for tonight for your back. Could be feet together, feet wide apart. But the basic move is letting my knees shift left and right. And then if one of those spots feels good to hang out and hold, you can hang out and breathe. Easy does it. Okay, so who all had the day off today? Bridget, you had the day off. Did Sonia?
I did have the day off, yeah.
Nice.
Hooray! Yes.
Gary had the day off. Okay, we do some each side. Yep, that was your lazy knee sway. Now, guess what? We've been working on this here diagonal bridge, which is very similar to that knee sway. So let's just try a couple. We might revisit this one a couple of times too. As I push into my right heel, which is like what I just did, my knees can go a little bit over to the left. And then I can reach my right arm back. So my right heel's pushing, and my reach, when I say back, I mean sort of like overhead, like I'm looking at something, trying to get something off the top shelf. Yeah, so that's a nice little stretchy, reachy. I've just added a little shoulder stretch to that move. Push into my left heel. Left arm reaches up. Easy, real easy does it. If you want to try pushing up into your bridge position, that makes us a little more work. And I might end up rolling onto my shoulder. Yeah, if that doesn't feel good on your shoulder, just keep your tushy on the ground. So maybe pushing into your heel, lifting your hips. Maybe, maybe, maybe. All right, we might revisit that one later. Let's take a little rest from that and come up to our cat and cow. And if we're doing any of this and you need a little modification or need help, holler at me. None of this should hurt. It should all feel really good. Okay, your angry cat pushing the ground away. You can either inhale or exhale into this one. You can try playing with both. You can hang here for a couple of breaths and really stretch your upper back. And then you can stretch the front side, squeeze your shoulder blades together, let your chest drop through, maybe gently looking forward. And then angry cat pushing the ground away. I think I like exhaling best on my angry cat. You might take a breath here. Come back through. Let your chest drop. Squeeze your shoulder blades. So have your shoulders, upper back, thoracic spine be kind of the focus on this one. Yeah. Angry cat. Then you could start to play with this when you could do a little side bend. You could do like your jump rope move where your belly comes down and then look to the left and look to the right. You could wag your tail left and right. And then we'll do our arm circles. If you have your roller nearby, this one feels a little more comfortable on a soft roller, but it could also work on a hard roller. You could also do this just laying flat. You don't have to be on an object. But if you have one handy, try it and see how you like this here arm circle. Okay, come on back down. Take a little rest. Relax your butt, relax your back, relax your chest and shoulders, relax your neck. One more big inhale. And then you could use your breath to start your circles. Let's see. You could inhale as you stretch arms overhead, big reach, if this feels comfortable for your shoulders today. Exhale, swing your arms down and around. Inhale, reach whatever size circle feels good. Exhale, down and around. Inhale. Exhale. You might do a smaller, quicker circle and see how that feels. Tiny, quick, quick. You could go the other direction. Reach. Oh, yeah, see if that feels different. And go clockwise and counterclockwise. And then same thing here, you could play with tiny, quick circles. And then let's see, I'm going to grab a weight for my overhead reach. If you want to do this with a weight, this is that straight arms reach overhead. What I like about the weighted version is it gives me this big old stretch all the way down the side of my waist. So see, I think I'm going to come off my roller for this one. Your choice, how you want to do your reach. Okay, pull over, this one's called. So you can grab it either in the middle if you're holding the weight, or you can grab the fat ends. Like, so I'm going to grab right in the middle and do straight arms. And you can also do this just with your arms extended over your chest. And then reach arms overhead. Now your thumbs don't have to come to the ground. This could just be like 3/4 of the way back. Yeah. Eventually, the idea is if we do this enough, eventually your thumbs, or if you're holding the weight, your weight could come to the ground. Alice, are you holding a cat? Yep. Oh my God. What does that cat weigh? 20 pounds? Oh my gosh, my neighbor's cat. My neighbor's cat is an orange cat called Whiskers. So Eric was at the sink the other day doing dishes, and he's like, I think Whiskers is getting fatter. So then I saw my neighbor out yesterday. I said, Eric thinks Whiskers. She goes, he gained 2 pounds. She goes, I'm feeding him too much. She goes, he looks at me and I can't help it. I shouldn't be feeding him. Yep. All right, what else? Oh yeah, this thoracic rotation. Whiskers is living the life, boy. So if you wish to isolate your upper back, this is one way to focus more on your thoracic rotation, which is what we're trying to get to with this move, is you could kind of snuggle the roller between your knees. See how I've got my shins, knees, and feet on the roller? Yeah. And that just lines up my hips so that my pelvis really isn't rocking and rolling. You could always put a little couch cushion under your head or just let your head flop. Reach your top arm. Oh, yeah, let your shoulder blades stretch. And then you can roll onto your upper back. Maybe extend your arm back behind you. So you might not go as far if you're really squeezing the roller. So that's one way to do the roller version of your thoracic rotation. Here's your next option. Could be hand on the roller, and you're using it to get that massagey action of your shoulder blades. Yep, so if that feels good, you can do that. You can do big circle. And then let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and switch and do side number 2. Okay, so option 1 was head or knees and ankles snuggled around the roller. Arm reaches. Roll back. Yep, you can yawn. Your other option, if you want to get more of that rolly action and slidey glidey scap, is you could put your hand on the roller. Ooh, roll it forward and back. Or you got your circles. This might feel good with the big sweeping circle. All right, let us revisit the baby bear and we'll just see with this little bit of stuff that we've done. Does it feel like you've got any more loosey-goosey in your back? Are you able to flop your hips anymore? Or does it feel like you can flop over on the one side? And then if you want to do one more bridge variation, and so that could just be straight up bridge. You could just lift and lower your hips a few times. If you want to experiment with your bridge and reach, you could push a little more into one foot. Just do a couple of these guys, bridging and or reaching. Or again, you could leave your tushy on the ground and just reach and get that nice long stretch down the diagonal from your armpit to your waist. Yeah, big stretching. Okay, we coming up for our King Arthur / low lunge. So what am I doing? I'm going to have my left leg as my down or back leg, and my right knee is my front leg. And then see if I can't get squared to the front and get my hips level. So if I start out like this, let's see, can I drop that hip down so that my waist is really long on both sides? Yep. Yep. And then you might add same arm as your down knee, which for me is my left. Maybe a little side bend and or back bend, maybe. And then if you want to play with this lunge, if this feels okay on your knee and ankle, to lunge forward and let your knee go past your ankle. So that's totally legit as long as that doesn't hurt your knee to be in that much flexion. If so, just back off a little and move your foot forward. So this is really good for ankle mobility, getting that knee and ankle to bend, to flex that amount. Like I said, only if that feels like, that feels challenging in a good way. Now, the other way we could play with this is sitting your hips back. And you might bring over your block or your roller if you need a little balance, buddy. And you could hang out there or you could go back and forth. A little hammy stretch. Yep. Or you could stay in your lunge. And this could end up being a little twist where you could take your arm, you could look at your front knee, maybe take your arm up if that feels like a good thing tonight. And if you need a little break from your knee, you can always come down and take a rest. And then depending on, again, what your knees are saying is okay tonight, you might be able to walk your feet to center. So be nice to your knees and feet. You could do a little boogie left and right. Or you could put your hands on the coffee table too. You don't have to be that low. You might be able to get low and boogie left and right like so. I've got my feet, I turned myself adjacent to my mat, wide direction of my mat. So I've got room to really have my feet nice and wide. Or you could come up high and do like so. Yeah, so if this feels comfortable to have your elbows kind of wedging your knees open, if that doesn't feel good, just come up and take a break. Or your other option that would still give you a nice open sesame across your hips could be, again, this kind of a thing, kind of like Baby Bear, but you're pulling your legs open or grabbing a hold of your big toes. Yeah, but we'll just be here for another couple of breaths. So if that feels good, you could even do a little one knee bends, one knee straightens. And then I made it all the way around to the other side. So now I got my King Arthur side number 2. Dig it? Yeah, so now for me, my right knee is pointing right straight down, left knee in front, and I'm trying to square myself up to the front and level hips. Yeah. Yeah, so that might mean feeling like you're pushing your pubic bone forward a little bit. And if you just do that, if you just do drive your knee down, push your pubic bone forward, you might feel a pretty dang good stretch for that hip flexor. Yeah, so it's not that I'm pushing way forward. I'm thinking down and this bone forward, if that makes sense. Yep. Maybe a little reach up or back. And then see how this feels on this second side to do either some kind of a lunge forward and back. If this feels good to keep your foot where it is and actively stretch that ankle and knee. Again, if you've had some knee stuff or if it doesn't feel so good, find a way to do this that feels like a little stretch, but not like owie. No owie stuff on this, especially knees and hip joint. It would be really nice to our knees. And then again, you might be able to sit back and start to straighten your front knee. You could sit all the way back where your tushy's on your heel if that feels comfortable. You decide what feels good for tonight. And then your other option could be staying low and adding this little upper bod twist. So my back knee's on the ground. I'm looking at my front knee or front foot, and I can take my other arm up if that feels okay. Yeah, if that doesn't feel okay, or if you need a little break, you can always take a little rest break. And then you can come on out of there. Let's do our band rows. Okay, this is our one strength move we are doing. Dialed it way back. After Heather yelled at me, she said we did too much strength. Took out the deadlifts, I took out the squats. But come on, we got to at least do some rows. Rows are so good. One of my favorite exercises. Why? I struggle with getting that open sesame. My shoulders like to do this. And so this is a really good move to strengthen your upper back, stretch your chest, and posture, good posture muscles. Yeah. If this feels comfortable to sit on the floor, sit on the floor. If not, elevate yourself. Go put yourself on the couch or get in a chair and then have your band around your feet. So you could do this from like a dining chair too, if you wanted to. Yeah. And then bent knees, probably going to be a little more comfortable. Straight legs, if you can do that with a nice tall spine. If my knees are bent, it's actually a good little marker. I might slide my hands right along my thighs, like from my knee to maybe where the pocket is on my pants. Yep. So I'm squeezing my shoulder blades. I'm even leaning back just a smidge. If that feels comfortable, you could either sit up tall or lean back just a little, like you're leaning on a piece of plywood. Squeezing the shoulders. Chest stretch. We're just going to do one round of these guys. It's also good for your grip strength to grab a hold of something like this and wait. I'm just going far enough back that I can feel my upper back work, but not so far that then I'm like tightening my neck or pulling my shoulders forward. Yeah, nice long neck. Let's do a couple more of these guys. I'm going to do 3. Squeeze the shoulder blades. 2. That's 1. Now this might feel good to let your band pull you forward. I think we did this one last week too. Oh yeah, that feels nice and round your upper. And then you can decide about this next one. If this feels good for your shoulders, you could grab the tail ends of your band and come up and lean back. If that doesn't feel nice on your shoulders, you can leave your hands lower. And then you might tighten up on your band and round forward. You might even be able to grab a hold of your feet. Just see how that feels for your back to get a little stretchy. Yeah, if the band is too tight or that doesn't feel good, you could just take your arms up too. This might feel nice. One more of each way, a little back extension. And then let your back round. If you're able to get a hold of your band or your feet, you can gently pull yourself forward. Okay, that was our official strength move. That's it. Then we're going to stretch some more. So what? Oh no, I spoke too soon. Side leg lift. But we got to do this because it's one of our 5. Yeah, let's do it. But it's not a big deal strength move. Come on to one side, please. And in fact, for this one tonight, let's do bottom leg bent at about 90. So I've got my leg and out in front of me, my shin is just about parallel to the edge of the mat. And when I do that, I can let this top leg stretch. And I might even, if this feels comfortable, to have your straight leg on the floor. And then lift your heel, lift your leg just a smidgy. It's not a real big deal. And then lower your top leg down. So what I feel is this muscle on the top of my hip working. Lift your heel, lift your leg. Alice easy does it. This is lateral hip, but it shouldn't feel squeaky on your back. Yeah. Easy. Tummy's in. Neck is long. I'm just going to do about 5 more. Pretty slow. I like this extended leg coming to the floor because then I can feel a little stretch for the top of my hip. Yep. Let's do last one. And if this feels good to stay here in this big old stretch, you might even put your roller or a bolster or something under your waist. This might feel like plenty of a side bend. If you have a bolster handy and this feels good to bring it under or a rolled up towel or something, we'll hang here in our little side bendy. You could pull with your bottom arm. You could slide your leg forward or back. I'm just getting a little stretch for this whole top side from my armpit to my waist. Slowly come on back. Actually, let's come into your back for a second and notice what you notice. So you can either stretch out long or you could have your knees bent, whatever feels more comfortable for tonight. Take a big deep breath. Notice left and right sides. You can notice your pelvis, your shoulders, your arms and legs. And then we'll do our side leg lift on side number 2. Okay, so stretch out nice and long. So you might even line your back or your whole self up against the back of the mat so that I'm stacked ear, shoulder, hip, knee, and ankle. And then this bottom knee can be bent just about 90. And then I'm lifting my heel, lifting my top leg, but it's not a real big lift. It's pretty tiny. And you might be able to let your leg lower all the way. I should have moved my mat back. You can't really see me with my black pants on the black mat. Look at, so here's what I'm doing. Top leg lifts and lowers. Pretty tiny, not a big karate kick. Straight knee. I'm a little bit internally rotated to try to get that top hip, top butt to work rather than my quads. If it feels like a lot of quad, a lot of hip flexor, roll your foot forward a little bit or in a little. Couple more of these guys. And then you can stay right here. This might feel like plenty of stretch, having your foot on the ground, lengthening the side of your hip, maybe reaching your arm up and over. If you want more of a stretch, you could put your bolster or towel roll, or this will work too on a foam roller. It'll be a little more intense, especially if you have a harder roller. You might pull with your other hand. Well, we did see some rhododendrons coming in on our walk today. Even though I wouldn't call this spring-like weather, we are getting spring-like foliage, right? Okay, now what? Oh yeah, we could do propeller. That'd be a nice little segue from that one. Same idea, stretching. You could stretch both legs and both arms out if that feels comfortable. And then you can let your top leg go back, top arm go forward. That's the propeller action. And then leg forward, arm back. So I'm kind of reaching my arm up and on the diagonal. And arm forward, leg back. And if one of those spots feels like a good spot to hang out, you could for sure hang out there. If you want to keep looking, you could even do this a little bit faster. You could do forward and back and forward and back. Whatever feels good tonight. And then we'll flip to our other side for our propeller. So you can stretch out nice and long. Arm forward, leg back. Leg forward, arm back. So I am rolling a little bit onto the back of my head, maybe onto your face. You can do quick version, quick forward and back. Or if you find one of those spots feels especially good to hang out, you could stop and hang out in your big twist. And then if you've got a stretchy band or a stretchy strap like this, let's do our hammy stretch next. So I'm gonna grab a hold of my band and strap my foot like so. There's a couple of ways to do this. If you got something else you want to do, you could for sure do your own thing. But if you want to do with me, you could mush your leg into the floor, like you're holding the carpet down with your, holding the mat down with the back of your leg, and then totally relax your leg, let it float up. Easy, easy breezy. And then you can mush your leg into the floor. Easy. Yeah, so if you wanted this to be some work, you could let the band go, hold here and do a little point and flex. If you want this just to be really easy, stretchy, you could hang on with your band. And if this feels good to point and flex your foot and ankle, or circles. And then you could come a little bit across. So if I do a tiny little cross, I'm going to feel this more lateral leg and hip. If I bring my leg way across, that's kind of more like what we were doing before, where you get a little hip and low back stretch. I'm going to do the tiny version today. I even feel this in my lower leg, my calf. Then I'm going to bring my leg just a little bit out to the side. And if I can keep my other hip down, it'll be more specific to my adductor hammy. And then you could play with small, medium, or large circles if this feels good. Might be tiny little leg circles, might be big sweeping circle. And then let's do leg number 2. Okay, so if you are baby in a back thing, or if your hamstrings are especially tight, keep these really tiny. I'm not trying to get my foot over my face. In fact, probably really my max is going to be not even 90, maybe where my knees and thighs are touching. If I'm really keeping my pelvis in neutral, if I go way up here, now I've lost my neutral pelvis and I'm not really stretching my hammy anymore. And why is it important to stretch hammies as to back stuff? Any guesses? Any guesses in how this could help your low back? Have I banged this drum before? Often this goes hand in hand. Tight hamstrings, back of your thigh, can pull on your back of your pelvis and your lumbar spine. And then you could do that either small or large. I'm going to do a pretty tiny little, bringing my leg across midline. And again, my leg is not as high up as my pelvis. So you can get your knee really straight. That may mean lowering your leg a little. Really straight knee. You can bring your leg out to the side. This could be a tiny little move. Or you could do your circles. These could be small, medium, large. The slower you go, the more information you'll gather. Oh, did we do point and flex yet? Did I say that out loud? Point and flex, yeah. If one of those spots feels good, you can go back there and hang out. Another breath or two. So I think the Olympics are finally over. It seemed like it was going on for like a month. Eric had the All-Star game on this weekend yesterday. Or I guess it was a weekend long thing. All right, now what? Hip stretch of your choice. If you're liking my little 90-90 thing, that is facing towards the front of the mat, leg, shin perpendicular to the front of the mat, and then other shin perpendicular. Anyway, so this leg straight out, this leg straight out. If that does not feel good, or you like the one where you lay on your back, you could cross your ankle over your thigh, or you could do regular old pigeon too if you prefer. I've been liking this one here as of late. So we'll hang out for, let's see, I'm going to give us our 2-minute timer. If you don't want to be here for that long, you could for sure come out before the 2 minutes is up. I want to be here this long. That gives time for that joint to really soften and relax your hip joint. Okay, so what could we do here? We could breathing into your hip. Relax your back, relax your neck. None of this should cause knee pain or hip or low back pain. And the other thing you could play with whatever version you're doing, the leg that's your top or front leg, you could really gently pull that leg towards you using your hip muscles. And then you could push the leg away from you. So in this position, I'm lifting it off the ground and pushing it towards the ground. It's a pretty tiny little move. Yep. If you're doing the on the back version, you could bend and straighten your lower leg. I like to do that one sometimes. Or you can do a little easy rock left and right. So you got a little wiggle room here. You could move. If you're doing this one with me, you could play with lifting your back foot off the ground. Ooh, that's that internal rotation. That might be challenging, or lifting your foot and your knee. Oh boy. Ooh. Let's take 3 more big deep breaths in this position. Hip stretch. All right, that's our 2-minute timer. Oof. So I've been working on this one with my hips. I'm trying to get a little more mobility in my hips. If you're on your back, you could just flop side to side or do baby bear. If you're up like I am, you could let your knees drop left and right. I'm going to come on to my other side. I'll do that whole thing on the other side. So you have this excruciating 2 minutes of this hip stretch. Or if you don't want to hang out that long, for sure, you could come out before the 2 minutes. Let's see, I am trying to get 90, 90, or the other one where you lay on your back. That could be a nice one too. So easy. Does it prop up yourself if you need to prop up to decrease that knee bend? Take care of you. None of this should hurt your knees or your back. If you need me to give you some other option, just unmute yourself and holler at me. Maybe leaning over that front leg, and or you could start to wiggle your front knee. So when I say move that front knee, I'm using my hip muscles to draw my knee towards me and push it away from me. Easy. The other thing I could play with is, so this is internal rotation with this back leg when I lift that back ankle. Yep, or I could lift my whole leg. And then we'll just be here a couple more breaths. Hip stretch. All right, there's your 2 minutes. Come on down and rest. Oh boy. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, our cactus. This one, your choice. You could sit or lay down. You could stand and go to a doorway too. We've literally been on the floor this entire hour. So if you want to stand, you could go to the doorway. If you like the lazy floor version, you could even use your roller for this one, which would be, come here, roller, which would be laying like so. Maybe bringing elbows and wrists or elbows and pinky fingers together, and then pushing your forearms and wrists out to the side. I'm making this a kind of active shoulder stretch by squeezing my chest muscles, squeezing my elbows and wrists, and then pushing my forearms away from me out to the side. Yeah, so this would be an active version. You could just lay here and rest your arms on the ground. That might be what's in store for tonight. Real lazy version. Yeah, sometimes it's good to be lazy. And then you could play with sliding your arms up and down. So on the roller, you get a little more range of motion. If that feels too intense, just come off and do flat on the ground. And breathe. You could do the same thing, letter T. You could bring your palms together, squeeze your hands, squeeze your arms, and reach your arms long, way out to the side. If this feels good to just hang out in your letter T, you can stay right here. So this might even feel nice if you're on the roller. If you pull a little bit with one arm, you can kind of wedgie your roller into your shoulder blade. And even if you're flat on the floor, this one feels nice. Kind of like, I don't know why I call this one like my 80s dance move. You're letting your shoulder and ribs move to the side, letting your arm reach to the side. So a little bit of a side bend. If you're on the roller, it's a little bit of a twist. Yeah, easy does it. You can let your head and neck move. Ooh, and then last but not least, we did this one in our little neck and shoulder class a couple weeks ago. The doorknob, I'm just going to sit to show you this one. It's like you're holding two doorknobs, one in each hand, and you can turn one doorknob to the left and one to the right. So you could do this from seated if you want. I'm holding my doorknobs, one to the left, one to the right. And then you could let your whole shoulder get involved, your wrist. You could turn your head. So just see what that feels like to start to rotate from your pinky finger all the way up to your elbow, to your shoulder, to your ear. Might feel good to turn your head up to the ceiling. And then if you got any last little wiggling, or if you want to do last baby bear, yeah, let's just see. Does this feel any different? Oh yeah, the third bear is much floppier than my first one was. Your goal of being floppy. We accomplished our floppiness goals for tonight. Yes. And then if you want to keep wiggling, if you got any more wiggles to get out, now's your chance. You feel like you've done plenty of moving and you're ready to chill out. You can find your comfortable rest position. It might be laying on your back, laying on your side. You might prop yourself up or put on your socks or your sweatpants. And then noticing your breath coming and going. Breathing in and breathing out. Notice your ribs and armpits and chest. Is there any movement in your rib cage? And if there's not, could you allow for some movement in your ribs with these next 2 breaths? 3D widening, softening. And then send your breath all the way down to your belly. Let your belly be real soft and squishy. And you widen your pelvis. And you relax your low back, relax your butt, pelvic floor. And then as we continue our February love theme, tonight let's picture a love bubble. And so your little bubble is surrounding you, protecting you, keeping you all warm and fuzzy. And you might picture a color, maybe it's pink or white, maybe it has a texture, your love bubble. With each breath, can you picture your love bubble starting to grow? This is your love that you have created for yourself. all your positive self-talk, all your good things you do for your body, healthy movement, eating good food, getting good sleep. This all supports you and your love bubble. Next 2 breaths, your love bubble gets so big it takes up the entire room. And then it starts to fill up your house. And it can touch any people or animals that are in the house with you or nearby. Your love bubble can fill the neighborhood. And as you send your love message out into the world, you might picture certain people that you want to send a specific love note to. People around the country, around the world. Maybe people from your past or future. And they can send your love note right back to you. Picture what that feels like to have this love that you're able to send out, this unlimited supply. And then it comes right back to you. Take another big, deep breath. Big exhale. I listen to my body's messages. In this world of change, I choose to be flexible in all areas. I am willing to change myself and my beliefs to improve the quality of my life. My body loves me. My body communicates with me, and I now listen to its messages. I pay attention and make the necessary corrections. I give my body what it needs on every level to bring it back to optimum health. I call upon an inner strength that is mine whenever I need it. And you are welcome to continue resting here as long as you like. When you're ready to wiggle, you might yawn or stretch. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. And how do you feel?
Feeling great. Another successful day. Thank you.
Yay.
We will see you next time.
All right.
Take
Have a
care.
good evening.
Good
Good,
night.
have a good week, buddy.
Thanks.
Bye.